Olá, muito bom dia a todos, muito boa tarde, muito boa noite. Eu sou José Borges, sou analista de Relações Internacionais do Grupo Unis. Hoje, recebemos na nossa semana do Congresso Internacional, 7º Congresso, o professor Segun Obadiri. O professor Segun Obadiri é diretor de Relações Internacionais da University of Venda, South Africa, Universidade de Venda. E para moderar a palestra do professor Segun, temos a Márcia, que trabalha na U Experience e que mexe muito com a questão de internacionalização nas universidades. Então, primeiramente eu vou passar a ler uma pequena biografia do professor Segun, e em seguida apresentarei a Márcia e depois passaremos a conversa, digamos assim, não é? O bastão, digamos assim, ao professor Segun Obadiri. Professor Segun?
Yes.
Welcome to our Congress, Event Congress, and then I will read your CV, your short biography. Okay. And then, okay. Professor Olusegun Obadiri, PhD, is an administration and international education professional. He has served as chairman and member of several committees, including decolonization and internationalization of the affair of higher education. He is an astute scholar, as a prosecutor, supervisor, external examiner, reviewer, principal investigator, and lecturer. He has published more than 13 articles and book chapters in peer-reviewed journals. He is a member of the Management Council of the International Education Association of South Africa and the current acting director of international relations at the University of Venda, South Africa. And this is Professor Olusegun Obadiri. And Marcia, as I said, Marcia work of internationalization of the many institutions in Africa, maybe in Africa, and Brazil, and another part of the world. Professor Segun, you are welcome to our event, and I will say something. We are making history at this time because it's the first time that we have received someone from University of South Africa. And then, in the name of our president and the dean, I want to thank you, and you are welcome to our International Congress. And then the screen, it's all yours, Professor. Take your time.
Thank you very much for this great opportunity. I'm very pleased to be at this International Congress at this time. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for opportunity to present something to you, especially in relation to what we're passing through, which is COVID-19, and also our response at the South Africa. I'm going to go straight into my presentation. I've been working at the International Office for the past 12 to 14 years. But the experience that I'm sharing now is new, even to me, because this is a pandemic period, and none of us can say we have experience in this particular issue that is at hand. So my topic is going to be internationalization of higher education and COVID-19 in South Africa. So we want to see the dynamics that this has presented. How are we able to survive? So as a form of introduction, we see international educational enterprise in South Africa and elsewhere is been affected, badly affected, and by the impact of the COVID-19. We see when it was first announced as a pandemic early last year, the government of South Africa also declared a lockdown, which was also in a resemblance of most of the countries in the world around that time when the pandemic was discovered. And the lockdown, was staggered from level 1 to 5. Level 5 being the most restricted period, and level 1 is regarded as the less restricted period. So the impact was enormous because people were restricted from moving around, restriction on observing health protocols, and schools were closed down, especially higher institutions, where we belong to. COVID-19 has increased inequalities also, exclusion, discrimination, and global unemployment considerably. We see a lot of, issues, with gender-based violence, emanating because of the pandemic. A lot of people, face serious discrimination, face serious inequalities. Those who are working could not go to work again. Those who are doing working with a company or institution, were laid off. And that has also increased the pressure, in which people are already experiencing. The study, which I'm presenting about today examines the effects of COVID on mobility. How do we rethink internationalization of curriculum and the alternative funding model? So I'll also be talking about certain fears brought about by COVID-19 and the adverse effect. How can we circumvent that? Methodology used in the study, focused on the study adopted critical discourse analysis on the critical goals formulated, and the study extracted text from secondary data, available documents, secondary data which are available, from different sources, and then interpreted critical issues from those documents to reflect and define and redefine social distinctions and give relevance to explanation in line with the study objectives. So we're able to juggle between different study papers, articles, and existing government documents, which we can be able to lay our hands upon to be able to extract certain texts and information, and to be able to develop what is called a critical discourse analysis from the document. And we see, we also use different, levels of discussion, including social context. What are the people thinking? And the results came out to show that the pandemic has come with a lot of uncertainty, for especially higher education sector. And for internationalization and also mobility. For example, our University of Venda, they send students abroad, every year, minimum of 20 students, go to different countries to continue either as exchange student or as to also maybe continue with a full degree, in other institutions abroad. But this was curtailed. This cannot go. And then internationalization of academics also were seriously affected. International staff can no longer travel. There are border closure. There are different conditions which are now stipulating different issues from different countries, and that brought about a lot of pressure on internationalization of higher education, and the sector was badly affected. And mobility enhances global citizenship. A collaborative research and international presence for university and ranking. Also because your presence also influences your ranking. People knows you from different countries, Brazil, from Argentina, from US, from every part of the world. They know that you are a serious institution, but that was curtailed. That was badly affected. And also the burden on online provision falls mostly on heavily on those students who are poor and ill-equipped, without access to computer and laptop, affordable data, and reliable internet. In our experience at the University of Venda, which is considered to be historically disadvantaged institution in South Africa. If you know the apartheid history, there are certain institutions that also experience, serious, apartheid, during the period. But the redress is already in place. But nevertheless, the gap has been too much. And this, because of this pandemic, again, the impact was seriously felt, especially with students who are coming from background or from poor background, where the parent cannot afford to feed them regularly. They cannot pay their school fees. It is only the government that is paying the school fees, and now they want them to buy a laptop. They wanted them to also to have gadgets, to have connectivity, to have access to internet. That is a serious pressure on the parent and also on the student. So a lot of students, could not continue. They have many of them dropped out because of these challenges. Internationalization of higher education requires funding. We have been clamoring for funding, and now we can see the import of having regular governmental support in terms of a policy framework that will provide adequate support for higher education in terms of infrastructure, in terms of academic funding for maybe for mobility and others. In the discussion, a lot of things were generated, from the results which I just presented. You see, government, or something, like I said, they proactively, made arrangement for systemic approach of curbing the pandemic. By providing adequate communication channel. We see communication channel, especially for students or those who do not have access to main media, channel. They depend so much on social medias, and it is this where they get a serious influx of fake news, influx of conspiracy theories, which cannot be, which are unfounded, and some of them have to believe, because that is the communication channel that they know, and they have to seriously depend on that, and it affected. It brought about a lot of commotion, a lot of mistrust. And government also has to struggle with that. And also, there are a lot of theories that China, was intentionally spreading this so that they can become the world power, future world power. That was, some of the fake news that were, were dispersed, around, and people, who could not afford even the main media, have to fall for these particular trees. And but we discover from the study that collaborative online international learning, which is regarded as COI, has proven to be the better option for the continuation of teaching and learning and collaborative partnership. During the period, our university was able to collaborate, using COI. Because I said the COIL equipment is simple. It's like what we are doing now. A lecture can be going on, in South Africa, why my student will be elsewhere in the world. That is going. The collaboration continues. And that is, it has been proven that it will be the best option going forward. And also, South Africa has released a new policy, with deliberative action, to provide assistance for internationalization in all South African institutions. By having this policy in place, it can also help us to be able to be guided. How do we want to conduct internationalization? What about, is it when we're talking about outbound or inbound student? What are the conditions? What should be the priority? What are the things that you should be in place? These are some of the things which are spelled out in the policy framework of internationalization released by the government. And also, we see that internationalization of the curriculum is also important. Now we need to talk about internationalization of our curriculum. Most of the curriculum are, are archaic. They are not really talking to the present need. And when we advertise, for example, a course, a module that you want to offer at a university, will it also attract international students, participants? Can they come from elsewhere in the world? Those are some of the things that we should align ourselves to do a rethink upon. And beyond our region, for example, in South Africa and other parts of Africa, there should be an opportunity to move around. Mobility should not be hindered. It should not be a condition. For example, presently, it is very easy for you, if you are traveling from South Africa to Europe, to get your visa and go within a week. But for you to go from South Africa to Tanzania, or somewhere else, or Uganda, it might take like forever, and your visa may not even come. By the end of that program, the visa is not ready. So some of these bottlenecks are something that we should look forward to changing if we want to think positively beyond COVID-19. And in conclusion, COVID-19 has precipitated socio-economic crisis among many, if not all, the nations severely. Internationalization should be prioritized. It is important for the health of higher education system. The funding allocation should be adequate. Substantive money should be poured into into university business, partnership, collaboration, and so on. And then there's a clamoring for digital library. Students suffer a lot, especially during this pandemic period. A lot of them, could not access the library because they were at a remote places. So a digital library whereby access can be possible from anywhere you have, should be a way of looking forward. And then I think I will stop here so that if there are questions, I'll be able to respond to those questions. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Professor Segun. I think we learn a lot about your presentation. Marcia, the screen is all yours.
Thank you, Jose, and thank you, Dr. Segun. I was really very anxious about your presentation to know what has been done in South Africa and what are the next steps that we can take for the internationalization of our institutions. And it was very interesting to see that the government took some measures to help the internationalization processes in such a difficult time for all the universities. That's something very interesting, and it did not happen here in Brazil. We don't have a federal framework for all the institutions. I don't know if it's the case in South Africa. We have here two different kinds of universities, the public ones and the private ones. And as you may know, UNIS is a private institution, and they had to move very quick to change their mindset in their internationalization process to face this difficult times. And so it was very interesting to see and learn that in South Africa the government took some measures to help you. And also about the COIL programs that you mentioned, it's also something that the international department from UNIS Group was very effective and efficient. And José is here, and he can tell us about it. Is that something that you are already doing at the University of Venda in South Africa? You have COIL programs already in motion?
Yes, thank you very much for the question. COIL, Collaborative Online International Learning, is one of the platforms that we are using to make sure learning and teaching and collaboration, partnership are also continuing, because at a point, we have to close our doors. So the university was shut down. So nobody can access the university. So you have to do everything online. You have to do everything online. Teaching and learning migrated to online. Student collaboration, mobility. We had quite a number of students who also did exchange program online. They attended the courses and the classes online, and they were awarded certificates at the end of the program. So it is something that we're doing, and we're also participating in a project that is funded by EU Erasmus Plus program. And that Erasmus Plus program is funding one of our projects. Is called ICUDU. ICUDU is a project that talks to transforming curriculum using digital means, using digital means to transform the curriculum. And that is, we are part of that particular project, and we have been using that platform a lot to increase the number of academics. Not all of us, not all the academics are using that platform presently, but we are using that particular project to increase the number of people participation in COIL. A lot of them are also using Moodle, whereby they can do their teaching, they can do collaboration and all that using Moodle. But majorly, we want to promote COIL more. We have some modules which are run using COIL presently. What we are still encouraging our academics to also get involved more than what we're having presently. Thank you very much. And it is good to know. Yes, it is good to know that you also have that in place. The COIL environment. We have actually we have an equipment. But even with whatever, whether it is Skype for business or any, you can do COIL. It doesn't have to be with a specific equipment now. Any video conferencing platform can be used. Thank you very much.
Okay, Professor, just agree something. And then we want to develop COIL with you, because Professor, since COVID-19 appeared in the world, I think we developed 3 COIL with different university. I think the first one was with Meisei University from Japan, and second one with Chandigarh University. And now I think we have one COIL with university from Mexico. Yeah, Mexico. I forget with the name. But we are think to develop one more COIL with the University Politecnica of Mozambique. And we want to have students from Angola, from Portugal, Brazil, of course, and Mozambique, and many parts of the world.
Mm-hmm. You are muted, Professor.
Yeah, no, that is interesting. We will be happy also to partner with you on COIL, and that will be interesting, to know that you already have some which are running. So we are in.
Okay, I will talk about it with my colleague Emerson, and then he will send message for you, email for you.
All right, that would be great. It's
noted. Yes. Okay. I think actually the pandemic brought also a lot of opportunities, and we are seeing this happening right now before our eyes. This opportunity maybe last year or before the pandemic, it wouldn't be that easy to fix some COIL programs between the institutions and between the countries. And I also understand that UNIS Group has some COIL programs that are involving more than one institution, international institutions together. And that's also a great and a huge opportunity where you can have students from, for example, Mexico and Japan and Brazil and South Africa together in the same class. That's something amazing. I think as Professor Segun was talking to us in the beginning, we must look forward and we must take also positive things from this pandemic. I think this is one of the opportunities now. And there's also another thing about your speech that I was interested, 2 things. It's about the internationalization of the curriculum. As if I understood, that's something also that the government is helping the institutions with that. Is that so, or did I understand it wrong?
The internationalization of the curriculum is encouraged by the government through the new policy on internationalization that was the policy framework that was released. They encourage institutions to look outward, to be able to see how can they transform their curriculum. How can you also involve developing curricula that will speak to different aspects, that can also attract international partnership, can attract international students. When you develop a program, for example, let's look at indigenous knowledge system. Indigenous knowledge system may be new. The program was started newly in South Africa, but that can also attract interest groups from other parts of the world.
Yes.
Such program can also be a channel by which new thing can come up. We are talking about the pandemic now. You know, and we also think about using indigenous medicine to solve the problem. We have the vaccine. You know, different vaccines have been developed. What about indigenous medicine? You know,
Yes.
can it also suffice? And because vaccine is not a solution, but it's one of the solutions.
Yes.
So is that approach going to help us going forward? So such transformational curriculum development is encouraged by the government of South Africa. And our institution, for example, University of Venda, is playing a major role in developing such new transformative curriculum, and we're working assiduously to make sure that that is possible as soon as possible, so that we can have people. There are workshops. This is also an important aspect of possibility. Different workshops. People can, like what we're having now. We can have a workshop on a particular program, and then we get information from Brazil, combine that with that of South Africa, and then a document is ready. And that document can be shared by the two institutions, and that particular document now become a transformed curriculum, because it's bringing two ideas, and then it becomes an international program. And then from there we can also develop maybe a program that can fit for a master's program, a program that can fit for PhD program. There are different areas that we can be able to look at this and then formulate something substantive. And this is what will be of interest going forward, because we cannot do without it. We want our universities to transform, want new things to happen, but we must not look down on the curriculum. We must not look down on improving the status of the teaching and learning, and also partnership. Those aspects cannot be we cannot go without touching them anywhere as we move on in this particular new normal that we are facing. Yes, thank you.
Yes, that's amazing, isn't it, Jose?
Okay, Professor. Thank you very
really
much. Marcy, you want to say something? Agree something more?
No, I'm just very pleased. Really, thank you, Professor Segun, for your lecture and for showing us this great movement there from the University of Venda and also from the government from South Africa. It's I think we may learn a lot from what's happening there in South Africa. And thank you, Jose, for inviting me to be here today and to be able to learn all of this. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Professor Segun, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. And regards.
Bye-bye.
Bye.